maybe you can share with us about your experience being an expat. And just some of the misconceptions I think there are about being an expat. Because I think there's impressions of that an expat lives a certain kind of life in a certain kind of way. And maybe there are different experiences to that.
I mean, personally for me, I think, I think, you do get paid like, a specific amount, but you have to understand a lot of the expat contracts are very short term, right? I think with what you get comes precarity, right? Like comes with every 6 months, every 1 year, you are like, okay, let's apply for the next job that you don't know. I have friends who would go 6 months jobless in between and go back to the States or go wherever they're from and live with their parents for a few months, and then get another job. And they will come to another place, right? A brand new environment, leaving family, and that's all kind of counts into it, right? And also there's a type of contract, expatriate contracts also, that I think some call it consultancy contracts, some call it like short-term limited contract, where organizations will pay you by the day. So they will hire you for 90 days. They'll hire you for 60 days. A lot of American organizations would do that, and because you're paid by day, you don't get weekends. You're like on the clock 24/7. You get one off day a month, right? So you have this. Also, I think that's why the misconceptions sometimes happen with a lot of national staff to expatriate staff, being like, oh, why are they so hardcore all the time? Like, why, I just got here on a Monday and you already have 10 things to ask me to help you with, because they're likely to be on a day contract,
and sending
day-based,
emails on
the weekends, or working on the weekends, and they're piling the to-do list up and waiting until everybody else is available during the week to keep doing stuff, because they're on a day ticker, right? And then I remember talking to someone doing research, and this person was like, oh, in our country, people in our country, we're very homesick people. We love our family a lot, and we cannot live without our family. That's why we never expatriate, like. And I was like, that is human nature. We all miss our homes, and we all miss our family, and we all don't want to move away from our home, right? But some people still do it, and everybody, and for this person, I was like, people from your country do it. They leave their home, and they, I had a colleague not a colleague, but rather a counterpart who works in the UN when I was working. He's a Pakistani guy at the time in his late 50s, could not be there for his granddaughter's birth, and like was FaceTiming, right? Like while with their family in the hospital, and he's just alone in the canteen, like on FaceTime, kind of crying about having a new, because so you do miss a lot about your life, your family. You get disconnected from your family and your friends, right? Because how are you going to talk about the things that you're doing, right? And complain about how the system is unjust to a group of people outside of the sector who thinks that it's just a great sector and you're doing good work and you're so privileged, and why are you still complaining, and why are you still feeling down, right? So there's a lot of that complications comes in too, right? And I always love to tell this is, and I think maybe it comes back to the gender issue too. In the sector, a lot of senior women leadership, there's not a lot of them, and the ones that are either never married, divorced, or lesbian.
Absolutely.
You have 3 options.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
To make it up the ladder in there.
Yeah, if you meet like a regional director who is a woman whose husband is with them, like as a partner, and whose kids are whose marriage is intact, buy a lottery ticket that day, like immediately. You're lucky, right? Like also
And
like
most of
introduce
them-
me to them because I'd like to know. I'd like to know
And
them.
most
Yeah.
of them, I think,
Yeah.
are older women.
Yeah.
Women whose kids are already grown. Who
Yeah,
are,
there's that too.
Yeah, who are
They
already
came
grown,
back
and then
from
they
the
come back
sector.
to the sector.
I worked with a consultant, this really great Italian lady, and she was in her 50s. And then I love telling this story, is she would show me a picture of her in her 20s on a beach in like southern Italy. And then like it's a photo of her in like a hot red bikini. And she's like, look at me, Junru. I was so hot. And look at me now, old and single. And then she's like, if you want to work for the sector, like quit, get a life, and come back, right? And I was like, bet. So I kind of quit afterwards.
You kind of quit. She traumatized you.
She traumatized me because she does. She's like, sometimes I cry at night because I wonder if I'm gonna die alone because I never met anybody. I never found a partner. I never have a family. I did my whole life in this sector that I'm like, what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah.
Right? And so you have these personal things to talk about that is very substantial, but can come off as insensitive, right, in this context because, oh, there's people who are having a much harder time than you in life, right? And so
And it sounds kind of superficial.
yes, first world problems, right? Like,
yeah.
but then it gets kind of real when you talk to a country director of a very prominent NGO who tells you that I can't get a mortgage back home because my contract is so short that I can't prove to my bank that I have a stable income. And that is a country director from a Western country. And he's like, I can't pay for my family to live in a house, right? Like working in this sector because I can't prove that I can pay this mortgage. And I can't because he's like, my contract is done in 3 months. Right? So you always have, so for a lot of people, we think that the expats are living such a great life. And I think there are them, but the ones that you see who are hyper visible to be in a good place are few, I think, the one who's made it. And a lot of us, we share the middle class concerns.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. And I think it's interestingly, I think expats and national staff share a lot of similarities too.
Absolutely.
Right. And just, and I have a friend who is German, and he was like, oh, I got offered a consultancy by the UN, but when you break down the rates to the hourly rates, it's lower than the legal work, like minimum wage in Germany per hour, right? So he was like, the pay offer was almost insulting to him because sure, it may be a lot of money somewhere else in the world, but he lives there. It's less than legal minimum wage for that UN consultancy contract. So he turned it down. Like it's clear. It doesn't make sense, right? But yeah, so I think expats get a rep that's deserved, right? Like a lot of times. But at the same time, interesting concerns, like similar concerns that everybody shares about livelihood, about making enough money. Right? Like, oh, how am I going to pay for my kids' schools? Or how am I going to send money back to my family? Especially global South expats, right? People who are from the global South. And I mean, I talked to another like Austrian lady who was a single mother. And she's like, I barely make enough money to pay for my kids to live, right? And then you also have, for example, the Pakistani colleague that I knew. Yeah, he has a whole big ass family that he sends money back home to Pakistan, right? Like, and kind of like this money is going back into another place in the world that money is needed, like to a family where money is needed. So I think if we are a little bit more human about each other, we realize that we're really not that different.
Not that different. Really.
And that I think bonds us too, in the sense, and that also impacts how organizations think about security grading, how familiar is the organization with local communities, how we know each other, how we trust each other, how open we are to hire different kinds of people. And that's really, I think, ironically, a lot of these imaginations can be dispelled over a drink.
That's true.
Or like over a coffee, right? And it's just, that rarely happens because of how the sector moves, right? Yeah, I think it's a thing. It
But I think
happens.
you kind of just painted the picture, right?
Yeah.
It's that ultimately we share the same problems, we share the same concerns.
Yeah.
But we're human ultimately, and we look to the same things.
Yeah.
To make us whole.
Yeah.
And so the less we think of ourselves as different, and the more we think of ourselves as
Yeah.
finding points
to connect,
points
right?
of connection, and I
Yeah.
think we could deliver. And one of the things that initially in the development sector, how it even started, it started as global solidarity.
Yeah.
I like that framing better.
Yeah.
Is that and the global solidarity can be from anywhere.
Yeah.
I remember there's Kenyans who send money to Ukraine and to Haiti, and that's fine because that's global solidarity, right? And I know there's an organization that I know of that, those farmers in this country, and they felt, they want to send, livestock to this other country, and not because they think they are better or they are more, accomplished, and these poor, Africans. No, it was like, I want to share what I have, and I want to improve your situation. And I like that framing better, but I think what has happened has become something else.
Yeah.
It's become more patronizing, and
Yeah.
I hope we do get to a point where it moves more. It moves to communities know the problems, and they know their solutions, and they can look to others for innovation. How do you do it better, and can you come and teach us how you do it better?
Yeah.
And by that you could actually learn something from us as well.
Yeah.
Or someone says, we can pull our money to help people from the village, from another village, and that village doesn't have to be 20 kilometers from you. That village could be anywhere else, and global solidarity can go either way. It's where the need is, and that those people can then pick themselves up and move on. I mean, just like what happened after World War I or World War II, where people actually just picked themselves up and moved on, and there was support from others to do that, but that they weren't stuck in that space. They weren't stuck in that space. They moved on from that space.
Moving on is always, I think, the hardest part.
I wanted us to just touch on, and that's just also because I think it's also important for you to share what you hope for your research.
Okay.
And what you hope that it ultimately does. Whether it does it or not is different, but at least what your hopes are for your research, and the contribution that it could have.
I think for this research, I'm going to try to really hard to make it as accessible as possible, right? To publish open access, to try to, I really hope that if it ever becomes a book, it could be like a soft cover, like commercial price, and written in like non-academic jargon. And then in a way, kind of like it will have a methods section, but I will say that if you're not interested, you can skip and move on, right? Something like that.
How generous of you.
Yeah, right. Like, and it's like it's something that I feel like everybody should do, but it's somehow, because I think this research ultimately is something that's done by an aid worker about aid workers for aid workers.
Amazing.
Right? So that means if you want to join the sector, there's this book that you can kind of read up on some of the issues in the sector, and you can decide if you still want to be there or not, or adjust your expectations, or for people who already work in the sector to read it and realize that they're not alone in what they're feeling, or have realizations that, oh, okay, like I had similar experiences. I didn't know it was about this, right? So it's kind of sort of a mean through which people can connect with, right? The research. Because I think even when I was working in the sector, you will always get researchers who come and then they're interested in what you do. Oh, this program, this WASH program that you're doing. Oh, what's the technical? Like, how do we innovate in latrine building, like, or something like that? And then they like ask you all these questions. But I had one of them who never remembered what my name was, like, because they would just ask me everything about the project that I was working on. But I'm like, what about me?
I'm a human.
Yeah, like I am in pain. So, and I think that's why how I felt so lucky about doing this research is genuinely people was willing to talk to me, because they were like, okay, yeah, like I'm down to talk about this, because like I've never had this conversation.
Yeah, you are like the therapist.
Like, kind of, I guess, but I'm not certified, so don't count me on anything. Don't. But like, but you wish, right, there was someone that you could always sort of talk about it and understand your contacts, and tries to piece things together based on what you tell them. And I try to do that, right? So hopefully this research also helps us to understand how much the humanitarian sector is reflecting on human nature, on how we work with each other, on international politics, on how organizations work in general, right? Because the research, the empirical case is the humanitarian sector and the people. But the way that the research is done, the questions that are being asked, the methods, the frameworks that are sort of introduced for this research, hopefully you can also, another researcher could take it and apply it to UN peacekeeping, or apply it to ASEAN, or applying to NATO or any kind of international organization, right? To understand how that works inside another kind of international organizational system, right? To identify structural issues, to have concrete everyday conversations with people working in it, and to stop like imagining the things that you could clearly get people to tell you, right? So hopefully that's something about this research could do, obviously, but gosh, it's gonna take years.
I mean,
Yeah.
years, but not so many years, I hope.
Yeah.
The other thing is I'm fascinated because you're a photographer as well.
Yeah.
And we got hold of some of your photography, and I feel like there's a story there. About how you got into photography and what inspired you. And how's that going? Because of course you're a person. And
Oh, of course, I'm a human.
And how
with
are
needs.
you, Junru? And I want to
with
know,
the emotional needs.
not just the stuff that you've
Who
done.
needs to be comforted. I mean, I used to do it. I loved it as a hobby, right? Like it was, I mean, back then, I just was so fascinated because I was being selfish about it, because you could keep part of your life with you forever. And I was like, mine, right? Like, and then there was obviously an aesthetic of it. And I think I've always valued, I don't know if it's like relevant or anything, but like, I've always struggled with understanding just like the point of my life. But then I realized that, okay, so now I'm thinking back in my memory, it's the people around me that stands up really a lot. Like I'm not gonna remember Nairobi by Junction Mall, like, to be honest, but I'm gonna remember Nairobi by like Wairu, like, and and everybody in the studio, like that's what I'm gonna remember. So that was the point of the photography, was, I can take pictures of people and remember them, and and value them in that way, right? And also I got to, like, I guess, good enough to make some money during college to pay for like rent, right? Like
Wow.
to
Okay, that's not amateur photography.
yeah,
That's
like
like
to like I remember like I worked for like a small studio that runs like models. Like I
nice.
worked to take like the basic like Polaroid photos for new models. Like they come in and do like a profile, like a side profile. They'll be wearing like a white T-shirt and a pair of jeans. You know, like it's kind of those like I would do those for them and I'll make some money to pay for tuition. You know, so that was also sort of a livelihood. I stopped, interestingly, after I joined the sector because number one, it's not my job to take pictures of people. And number two is I don't know, there's a whole other ethical issue about photos, right, in the sector. And organizations had professionals who do it. And there's much more to consider when you're working the sector.
That's true.
And you're taking the MSF scandal with the photos of people like on the deathbeds, and you're like, oh, like, should we be doing this? Like, is it really necessary, right? Like, I know people who are advocating against that too. But ultimately, I think we value our lives very differently. And in a way, I guess it also helps me to think about the research. Like it helps me to think about how we have our, we're all people at the end of the day, and we have very similar perspectives on life. And, take photography helps with having a perspective and then looking at people and really understanding what they're going through, and respect their lives, right? Like, and see them as something that you want to remember by. Right? But yeah, like I haven't taken photos for a long time. I should probably pick it back up.
Probably pick it up because it's quite good.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely share a link with your pictures so that
you.
people can
Thank you
see
so
it.
much. Yeah.
Thank you, Junru.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Such
Thank
a pleasure.
You.
And
Thank you
this
for
is
having
such
me.
a fun, like, this is just for me such an honor and privilege. Such a wonderful conversation.
Honor is mine.
And thank you so much for making this happen and taking time
out
of your busy interview schedule to just come and have this conversation.
Yeah, like, please describe me as someone who is like really busy and really like in demand, please. So that would be great. Yeah, like, inflate me like as much as you can, please. Yeah.
I mean, I'm really honored. And this is just a gem. And I got you just before you left.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I hope that a lot of people will get access to your research and that it'll change people's lives, because I think that's ultimately what you want.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah.